Hello again and welcome back to my workshop. And in this video we're going to look at programming a gyro, in this case the Hobby Eagle A3 Super 3 gyro, which allows for 6 different gyro modes to be set through 2 switches. In this particular case, the requester only has a radio with 3 flight modes and therefore could not use the transmitter's flight modes to give all 6 variations of the gyro modes. Which I think is just as well anyway, because you don't want to be burning up flight modes with possible implications for trim if you're using flight mode separate trims or other flight mode separate things, just to give you your gyro modes. You want to be able to do it all through the channel using some other method, and we can do this using mixers, so you don't have to use your transmitter flight modes at all to switch the gyro flight modes. However, whether or not you want my opinion on this, you're about to get it, and that is trying to control 6 gyro modes is a bad idea. You certainly want an off mode, and you certainly want normal rate mode, damping mode, stabilization mode, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you want one other because you want to try out its horizon mode or heading mode or whatever. But I think you're just going to get yourself completely tied up in knots trying to remember what is switching what and where things are during flight if you're trying to switch between 6 gyro modes. I just don't think you need them. However, if that's what you want to do, let's go ahead and show you how to program it. So we'll go into the model, the function assignment. I've created a function called the gyro mode, and I've assigned it to the 3 position switch. Then we go to fine tuning and into the function curve, and we're going to change the gyro mode curve from standard to 3 point so that we can change all of its points. Now, I've had a look at the Hobby Eagle A3 Super 3 instructions, and basically it shows you the timings for 6 different bands, and as long as the servo pulse is within a band, it will choose that as its gyro mode. And it's showing that the bands are 1120 microseconds to 1250 microseconds is band 1, so if your servo pulse is anywhere within that, it will choose that as the first mode. Then 1250 to 1385 microseconds, then to 1520 microseconds, 1655, 1790 and 1920 microseconds. Notice that these bands are not all exactly the same size. Some of them are 130 microseconds different, some of them are 135 microseconds different. But anyway, I've chosen roughly the center of the band, which would be plus or minus 65 microseconds or thereabouts. So I'm looking to get this to land on a timing of 1185 microseconds, 1315 microseconds, 450, 1585, 1720 and 1855 microseconds. And so what we're going to do first of all here is manipulate this function curve to give us 1185, 1315 and 1450 microseconds. And you're thinking, how can we do that? Well, first of all, we can calculate it straightforwardly, and the other thing, of course, is we can use servo monitor to show us the actual microseconds output. Now, a timing of 1185 microseconds is minus 63%. Wow, how did I get to that? Well, basically, servo center is 1500 microseconds, and 100% in either direction would give you the minus 500 microseconds from that. So 1500 minus 500 could give you the 1000 microseconds, which is your bottom end, and 1500 plus 500 microseconds gives you 2000 microseconds, which is the top end. And so 1185 microseconds is 1500 microseconds minus 385 microseconds. And so 385 out of 500 is 63%, and since we're going downwards, it's minus 63%. So that's how I get that figure. The next one will be 1315 microseconds, which is 1500 minus, what's that, 185, which is 185 out of 500 is minus 37%. And then finally 1450, which is 1500 minus 50, so 50 from 500 is minus 10%. And there you are, we've got all our points. If you don't understand the maths, don't worry too much. I'll show you just what we're going to do. We need to know where our switches are, so I'm going to say that switch up is the bottom end, 1120. So if I move the switch, I want to find which point that is. We can see the little target moving around. There it is, up there. So switch up there. I want that point to be minus 63%. So I'll go there and whiz it down. Minus 63, I'll press the escape button, we'll move it backward a point, and I wanted that one to be minus 37. And escape back once more, and I said that was minus 10. Set that in, say OK. Let's have a look at servo monitor. And this little button here, or this little symbol, means press this button, it'll toggle round. So instead of showing just percentages, press it again, and it tells you the name of the function and gives you the percentage. So this is the line we're looking at here. Press it again and it gives you milliseconds, which if you multiplied by 1,000 would be the microseconds. So this is the one we're looking at, is it? No, it's this one, 1185. And so there we are. I said the middle of the first band, we were looking for 1185. And the next figure we want is 1315, so I'll switch it to the middle, 1315. And the next one should be 1450. There you are. Arithmetic works, isn't it marvellous? So anyway, the important thing is that the bands given by Hobby Eagle were 1120 to 1250. Yep. 1250 to 1385. Yep, we're within that. And 1385 to 1520. Yep, we're within that. Okay, so how do we get the two position switch to push those out to the other end? Well, we just do a double mix. Say OK to that. Come down to our free mixes, plus from, and we're going to mix gyro mode to itself. Come down here, advanced. The value will be minus 100, so I press the menu button a couple of times, gives me 100 in a point. There we go, and the switch is our two position switch. Now what that will do is it will completely zero out the actual value. So if we have a look in here, here's our switch working, but if I switch this two position switch on, it'll just lock it at 0 because it's mixed itself back to itself, it zeroed itself out. So what we do is we just do it again. Gyro mode to gyro mode, advanced, master value, minus 100, the switch there. And what that does is negates it yet again and forces the curve out of the other side. So here we go. We've got our 1185, 1315, 1450. If I switch this now, it'll jump up to, well, it won't go to 1585 because, say, the bands here aren't, that Hobby Eagle's given aren't all actually the same size. But anyway, what it's looking for here, now that I've moved the switch at bottom, is somewhere between 1520 and 1655. We've got that. So now we'll move the switch again, and we're looking for somewhere between 1655 to 1790. Yep. And finally, switch all the way up, somewhere between 1790 and 1920. There we are. So we've got all the possibilities there. The high end with this mix on, mix off the low end. And there you go. So you can get all 6 positions with the 2 switches using just mixers, not having to use flight modes.